Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being here. I come from the private sector, and I was not here whenever the health care law was debated and then passed. But I can tell you as a person who actually provides insurance for the people that I work with, we've seen premiums. This is for a family, a mom and dad with a couple children. It's gone from about $800 a month to $1,150 a month. That's the premium. Now, maybe you all can explain this, because I think I'm just looking at this as a business model right now. When you take in $1 premium and pay out $1.20 in claims, that's not a sustainable business model. So I think that rather than going after the insurance companies and saying, hey, you guys are trying to make money, I mean, if you don't make money, you go out of business. I kind of get that from my life's experience. But the copays and the deductibles are also part of health care. So when I talk to people, and with ours right now, it's $3,000 in deductibles before insurance kicks in. They have heavy copays, and if you go to the emergency room, that's another charge on top of it. So most of the folks I talk to back home are saying, yes, I do have insurance, but I don't have coverage until I go past a certain point. Now, I'm understanding some of the people that I represent, some of their increases are going to be 38 to 40%. That's what they're going to ask for. They're not going to get that, but they're going to get something. And then the question comes down to, well, that's not a big of a problem on the premiums, because there's going to be subsidies that are going to take care of that. So Mr. White, Mr. Condalucci, Mr. Hart, Mr. Lee, who's going to pay for the subsidies?
Taxpayers will, and that's the problem, right? We're shifting costs, we're not lowering them. We need some strategies to lower the costs. The other issue I would say on the deductibles is that only half of Americans have enough liquid assets to meet higher deductibles, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. Now, the problem with the ACA exchanges is that in many instances they are masking the availability of account-based plans like health savings accounts. If people knew and were informed that HSAs could help them fill in deductibles on a tax-preferred basis, we might get some help in meeting some of those deductibles. Unfortunately, we're also seeing some policies come out in the regulatory front that are discouraging the use of HSAs on the exchanges, either healthcare.gov or at the state level. And so there are tax tools that we can use to help fill in these deductibles. They're just not being employed very effectively. Yeah.
Briefly, the premium subsidies, as we all know, shield some of the policyholders from the premium increases, and that's been established and been suggested by...
If I can interrupt for 1 second, though. But the subsidy doesn't change the actual cost.
It does not.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. We get into this idea that somehow the subsidy is going to make it okay, because at the end of the day, somebody still has to pick up the tab on it. Correct. The answer is hardworking American taxpayers. And a lot of this stuff, listen, oftentimes our hearts are willing, but our wallets are weak. We are putting such a heavy burden on the private sector right now, and the people that provide this, believe me, because I'm one of them. I provide that for the people I work with. But see, the sustainable business model is the thing that I think we're turning away from. It's not that we don't want to make sure that people have health care. By the way, we're not talking about sick Republicans, sick Democrats, sick independents, or sick libertarians. We're talking about sick Americans that need help. I want to make sure that we don't make it a thing about our parties, but about our people. So the sustainability of it is where we have to go on this, and that's where I'm seeing the disconnect.
Because as the premiums go up, the government shields those premium increases in the form of higher government spending, which is the form of the premium subsidy, that is. So there is a tension between increased premiums, how the subsidy works, and how they shield consumers from those premium increases. It's not the consumer that's generally experienced that premium increase. Instead, it's the government. And at a point, you might have an unsustainable situation from a spending perspective.
But we keep using the term the government. The government doesn't pick up the tab on anything. The government collects money from hardworking American taxpayers and redeploys it where the government thinks it should go. So we take the decision out of the individual's hands of how they're going to purchase products, and we say, this is how you're going to do it. And if it's too steep, we'll subsidize it without saying, by the way, you're going to pay for the subsidy. Mr. Hart, if you just weigh in, I'm almost out of time, but this is critical. People understand this is an unsustainable business model. It has nothing to do with wanting to provide people with health care. It's to the point that it's going to reach that we can't do it, and taxpayers can't be burdened every time we want to do something.
They simply can't afford it. You know, you're absolutely right. Those subsidies are coming from my business, from my employees, from your employees, and everyone across the country to pay for these taxes. But you're actually pretty lucky. For someone in your company to have a $3,000 deductible and an $1,100 premium, that's pretty good. Where I come from, where healthcare costs are soaring, we have to pay 3 times that. We have families who are paying over the Cadillac tax limit already for a average health insurance plan. So you're right. I'm concerned just like you, very concerned.
Thank you.
And to clarify, Mr. Chairman, my reference to government was taxpayers.
Thank you.
Thank you.